So yeah, maybe some old teammates here. I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure DRG is a newer pickup, but
yeah, I don't think they were on the same team at the same time.
okay.
But regardless, yeah, a little bit of history there as we continue our lecture on Hotwire LE. This is the engineering question mark part of the lesson.
Sure.
In the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner, that or the Steel Cars lesson. In the top right-hand corner of the map, we have our red Zug player coming down from the land of Korea. He, of course, is going to be representing Team NV. We have the one true Dong. We have DongRaeGu.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the South Korean Terran player. He is blue, representing Team GP. It is Percival.
I wonder how Percival's going to approach this after playing against Reaper.
That's the thing about these like long one-day tournaments is that, you know, there's a lot of stamina involved, and also your mental has to stay strong as well. Like, I'm sure Percival's gonna get whiplash playing someone like Reaper and then going into DRG.
Sometimes they just mold together, you know? Your opponents, especially if you're playing one of the same race immediately after the other.
Yeah, it's it can be a little bit shell shocking, but you know, hopefully Percival is able to stand strong here. He's a great player. I'm curious to see how he performs here. Fun fact, I don't know if you remember, last week we casted DRG versus Chance, and it was a very similar scenario where it was like it's one of the up and coming Koreans going up against one of the veterans, and DRG obviously proved stronger there, but now it's Percival's turn.
Yeah, Percival, I guess you could still consider him one of the up-and-comers. He's of the same generation of players like Chance, as you were saying, Universe, Control, perhaps. But I do think that he's probably had the best results out of all of them, pretty consistently making it into at least GSL Code A, making it into Code S a couple of times.
Yeah. He's had a couple of breakout performances, like in the grand scheme of things, you know, it's him breaking into that pro scene, breaking into the top 32 of South Korea. But can he take it to someone like DongRaeGu? Maybe we'll see. Like, DRG is still a beast, despite being, you know, one of the older players in the region. He's still incredibly strong, incredibly dominant. Has made it plenty of times into the finals of an ESL Open Cup. So yeah, he's the one to beat right now, and I'm curious to see what Percival has to offer here in this matchup and how he approaches ZvT in general.
Well, for now, seeing a little bit more of the same here, 1-on-1 with Hellions. In the meantime, he's just trying to keep DRG on his toes with this Reaper, you know, be annoying. I'm gonna take out that tumor. You know I will. Oh, you got me. Backs away.
He wants it, mate. He wants it. And as you were saying, we are having a one-on-one. It looks like into that Banshee. I think what's important to note is that he showcased earlier against Reaper that he can go for these more aggressive Hellbat pushes if he wanted to. I don't know if he was just testing the waters with his opponent. I don't know if that's something that he would even try and do against DRG, maybe even later on this series.
Well, he may try. Might as well throw it in at least once in a best of series, you know?
Yeah. Why not? Obviously, it's very committed, and you want to try and keep it hidden, but we may see that later on. Meanwhile, at the moment, some decent micro. Percival, he hasn't lost his Reaper yet. He's just being a little bit annoying, poking and prodding, but he hasn't really found too much damage.
Yeah, he's gonna have to wait for the rest of the Hellions to meet up before that can really happen. Banshee's gonna be the air unit of choice here.
Yeah. That was enough to...
Yeah, which does give him a couple more options than the Liberator. He can try to multi-prong, or he can try to have a stronger frontal harass.
Yeah, we'll also keep an eye on it and see how many Banshees he makes. Is he going to just go for 2? Is he going to try and go for a little bit more? Obviously, he's going bios, so like there's not going to be a mass commitment into them. It's not like we're casting someone like 4GG who loves to go like mass Banshee or something.
Build 4GG.
Exactly.
Still had a hero. That's a throwback to Wayne's Champs.
Mm.
Shout out to Piglet. Not knowing who 4GG was.
Shout out to Piglet, mate. Shout out to Piglet. Meanwhile, like, these Hellies, they still can't find too much. Like, the Queens, they're just always here. They just always keep me up. But you could argue that that does mean that they won't be in position to defend it against the Banshee. Never mind. The Banshee, it looks like, tries to get into the main.
Yeah, DRG just going full Queens at the moment. And this is a little worrisome for Percival because his opening is reliant a lot on getting damage in the early game. He's not all in or anything like that. He doesn't need a massive amount of damage, but he does need to take out a couple of drones here and there.
Exactly. I mean, maybe even Scout as well. He dips into the main base. He still hasn't seen the Spire, but it looks like with these Banshees, he just barely will spot this, so now he's well aware of the mutas that are going to be coming out from DRG.
Yeah, at the very least, these Banshees do act as a scout, even if you will lose them. Oh, they got completely flanked there with only 3 drones going down. So, yeah, not exactly the damage Percival was looking for. I mean, just look at the worker count difference.
Yeah.
Oh
my.
Even with mules.
Exactly. The Hellions even get surrounded as well. They all get taken out in the end. Only one, no, not even one, escapes. Jesus Christ. Percival's in a really rough place. He lost all his Hellions, all his Banshees. Now he doesn't have any map control. Now the creep trade can just go undeterred. And mutas are on the way. And sure, we have Marines, but we still need a little bit more time to set up missile turrets.
We absolutely do. But Percival doesn't want to keep his units at home either. He knew how rough the opening was, and he knows he needs to get some damage done. The wall is not a wall!
Yeah, Ling's getting into the natural base. Some Lings even get into the main. No, he wasn't able to get that deeper up in the main either. The Lings wreak havoc in the mineral lines, and this is just softening things up, getting things ready for the mutas.
Exactly. Already forced a stim out of these Marines. These medevacs that just came out don't have much energy on them to begin with. And where are the missile turrets?
They're non-existent, mate. Right now, they are on the way. They're in production, but that is not good enough here. Meanwhile, the mutas are still just chilling here at the third base. They do get another handful of SCVs, but the Marines do push them away. Ooh, at least finally, Percival is able to regain control a little bit and breathe.
Yeah, honestly, there's some really good zoning from Percival. I know his mineral lines didn't quite have the defenses. He was able to keep the Mutalists at bay for long enough to get them.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like he's kind of all in here. Like,
he's 100% all in.
Yeah,
he has to do so much.
Yeah, and to be fair, where the Banelings, all the gas was spent on nothing but mutas. So right now, there's so much potential with this push, but Percival needs to keep going. DRG, he realizes what's going on. He's trying to morph in a couple of Banelings, but only 3 of them.
Yeah, 3 of them are not going to be enough, especially if this tank can target fire them down. Percival, I think he may be doing it. He doesn't quite realize that the Banelings aren't there yet, so he's not being as aggressive as he perhaps could be, but regardless, he's going to take out a base. He's still making more units. He can try to reinforce this, or he can try to rotate around. Yeah,
I'm really worried because Percival's taking a long time. Like, it took him a while to kill that base. As we were trying to allude to, he needs to be a little bit more aggressive. Like, Baneling speed now will finish. Now there are enough Banelings. Now the window where he could have maybe even gotten another base or ended the game is closing.
Well, these Banelings are still slow, and we have 4 tanks with good enough splits and target firing from those tanks. Percival might still be able to do it. Oh, already one really good connection.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the mutas are catching a bunch of reinforcements. Marines are going down left and right. Baneling speed finish. Oh, God!
Oh, no! Percival's attention was elsewhere. He does get a decent snipe on a lot of these Banelings in the end, but not before his entire Marine count got taken out.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like these tanks are going to go down as well. So will the Marines. So will everything else. Percival's push does get cleaned up. And again, this push was all that Percival had.
It really was. And now that it's out, it's got nothing. GG is called. And that concludes our Hardwire lesson. You gotta realize when you can be aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was a really good push there for Percival. He just had to keep going. I would have loved it. I mean, again, he doesn't have full information like we do. If, like, when he showed up on creep and when he showed up to that base, he ignores the base and just keeps going and goes into either the third base or the natural. Again, there were 0 Banelings ready when the Marines stepped on creep. The Banelings were made after they showed up and after they started attacking the hatchery. There was There was a moment there. There was a moment.
That definitely was. This is one of those replays where Percival's just gonna look back at it and think, "Ah, I had a chance."
Yeah.
But now he knows, you know? And now we're going to be continuing our series, our lesson here on 2000 Atmospheres. A bit of a refresher of what we learned in the last series. In the bottom left-hand corner, map starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our red Zerg player coming down from the land of Korea. He is, of course, going to be representing Team NV. We have DongRaeGu.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have our South Korean Terran player representing Team GP. Currently down in this series, but here in Game 2, it is Percival.
I personally like to see another Hellbat build come out from Percival here. Especially since his opening game number 1 didn't really do much.
Yeah. I was about to say, I mean, he's kind of the Spire, but even like that didn't matter though. Yeah. Yeah, like the Hellions and the Banshees, like there was so much investment there, and it did kind of all go down the drain. I have to wonder if that will affect how Percival approaches Game 2. Is he going to try, as you said, is he going to try and go Hellbats? Well, maybe.
That's not a bad idea, especially with how, well, DRG does go pretty queen heavy in the defense, doesn't he?
True.
At least from what we gleaned from game number 1.
Mm-hmm.
You could argue that it is only queen, so if you have enough Hellbats, you can overwhelm them, but it's still tricky when you have that many transfuses out, or when your opponent has that many transfuses out.
It may be worth, I don't know, even opening up with Hellions and the Liberator as well. Maybe it's just Percival thinking, like it was a little bit unfortunate that my Hellions got caught out. Maybe I just have to, you know, babysit them a little bit more and be a little bit more careful, and I know that I can do better with them. Yeah, because I'm just trying to think, imagine that push with those Hellions as well, you know, that Percival went out with.
Yeah, all those Zerglings going down, or at least being kept at home. Worst comes to worst, you could tank a couple of Baneling hits. But yeah, I do feel like 2000 Atmospheres at the very least. There are a couple more entries to slip the Hellions into if he wanted to harass, because once again in Heartwire he was trying to get into these mineral lines, but the queens kept denying him every single time.
Yeah, it was insane how many queens DRG had. It was crazy. And so far it's looking like the same opener, 1-1-1, and we do have that tech lab on the racks, mate.
Should we see another Banshee follow-up?
Yeah, so maybe it's one of those things where Percival's like, yo, I know that I can control this better and I can perform better here in Game 2, regardless of what happened. Oh, he actually starts stim!
Yeah, that's a very early stim.
Oh.
Viking behind this. See, well, we'll wait and see if he throws out an armory.
Yeah.
It would cost a lot. It would cost a lot of gas, especially if he wants to follow this up with a medevac. But that's a possibility.
We'll see. As we do have the Viking, it's going to help keep all the vision out of Percival's base. We do have a single Overlord, but the Overlord is not long for this world. 2 more Raxes are thrown down for that mass marine production. Again, there's a lot of potential here with the stim timing.
That there is. CRG does scout this, though.
Yeah, that he does. He does see all the production, so now he's a little bit aware of what's coming his way. I would also kind of like to see an armory, not gonna lie, but I feel like the time has maybe passed for that.
Yeah, I guess it's better now, or more efficient now, to spend the gas on medevacs and whatnot.
Exactly. Medivacs is going to be on the way. We just see the reactor switch there. So reactor on that starport. Hellions are here on the map, but again, plenty of queens to keep them at bay, but at least is able to try and slow down that creep.
Yeah, bit by bit, takes out a tumor or two. Viking trying to get some damage done. It's so low, that Overlord is so low, and Percival is hunting for it. Can't escape, it can't escape, and it will go down, but now the Viking can't escape, or can it? Because these queens are off creep.
Oh god, it looks like the Viking will just barely get away at the same time. Hellions dip in, there's no queens here, but oh, they don't necessarily take the bait. In the end, he just dips in, dips out.
I think he wanted to clear creep, but didn't have a scan available.
It's very possible, it's very possible.
Yeah. I feel you, Percival. Well, the drones were bunched up a little bit there, but there were enough queens to keep the Hellions at bay. You really don't want to give them your map control this early on as a Terran player.
Yeah, exactly. And here we go. Finally, the drop is coming across the map. Stim is done. Combat Shields is on the way, as well as +1. So there's going to be a very strong timing here once all these upgrades kick in. And DRG, this time, is playing it safe. He didn't cut corners to go straight into a Spire. This time, he's going pure Ling Bane. 1-1 is on the way with double Evo Chamber, so he's going to have a lot on the ground to help deal with this.
He will. The Hellions as well, even though they're not Hellbats, they still add a little bit of additional DPS, and more importantly, I guess they do act as a buffer to keep the Lings at bay. Marines can target down these Queens as much as they want, but here comes a massive flank!
Yeah, the tank does go down. The Marines, they were trading fairly well against the Queens, but the Queens, because of the sheer amount of energy and transfuse, the majority of them did survive, and the push gets defended.
I think Percival might have gotten a little bloodlusted there. Those Marines were in position to defend the tank. Might have been a different story, but Percival is not out of it yet. He still has reinforcements coming down. He's even making Liberators from here. He wants the damage done. He wants to deal damage.
Yeah, I just don't know if he can. I mean, he still only has one tank here because he lost one earlier. The wraparound is happening again, by the way. DRG is ready to fight. He actually goes for a run-by instead.
Huh.
Oh no, he's coming back!
That he is, and these Marines are going to get completely sandwiched. Banelings do not actually connect. Some very nice snipes from Percival, but in the end, DongRaeGu still had more than enough to overwhelm the Terran army.
Yeah, exactly. The macro of DRG is insane. Behind this is getting a 5th base, by the way. He's already had his 4th. It's already getting saturated. 2-2 is on the way, as well as Baneling speed. You saw how well DRG could defend earlier with Queens and Lings. Now he's going to be able to do so with Baneling speed. So the time for Percival, I feel like, has gone when it comes to his strong pushes, but he can still go for drops, and he still has plenty of medevacs to help micro.
Yeah, thankfully Percival wasn't all in. Was already working on that 3rd base as he pushed out.
Oh!
So he can still go for a 2-2 timing. Another fantastic snipe. Baneling snipes from Percival have been a sight to behold.
Yeah. Yeah, that was beautiful. There were only a handful of Banelings, and just like that, Percival, he trades incredibly well. At the same time, we have a Liberator head towards the natural base, as well as the main double Liberator, and this drop pushing into creep.
I'm loving this right now from Percival. It is multi-pronged, but he really only needs to focus in on one army at the moment.
Oh my god, and he's just
so many queens.
Yeah.
High energy queens too.
Oh my god, 4 queens go down, and we do have a hot pickup that without the queens, there's not a lot of anti-air, so there's nothing to stop these drops. They do back off, and 7 drones have gone down.
7 drones have gone down, a lot of loss of mineral time, or a lot of loss of mining time too in this main base. The RG still has a scary army though.
Oh no,
God! So far creep at the mines!
Ooh. 2 mines go down, but you know what? They deal with a decent chunk of those Banelings, not gonna lie. It's a shame though that again the mines had to go down. They did have to take their lives for that. Meanwhile, the push isn't stopping, but at the same time DRG is going for a run-by.
Quite a massive one at that. The
okay,
reinforcements back at home should not be able to deal with this. The wall is not a wall. And we're getting a little bit of a base race here.
Oh my god, exactly the main. Oh god! Ah, he was looking at just the wrong moment. Once again, there were no splits. There is enough at home to defend, and at the same time, SCVs are falling left and right.
Ah, that's the worst feeling in the world, man. GG is called. DongRaeGu takes that series 2-0. And that concludes this particular lesson, students. Attention is finite. You gotta know where to place your attention, and DongRaeGu definitely knew where to place his attention. Percival, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a bit of a shame that Percival just, his depots weren't up, because if they were, then he wouldn't have to go back home with his camera, right, and look at his bases, because he would be having an easier time defending, and then he could focus everything on that attack, and things would have gone differently. But oh god, GG. Like I just wanted to say that Percival was impressing me. Like he was getting momentum that game. Like he was looking good. He was sniping Banes. Like he was multi-pronging. So close.
It's very strong pushes and very strong micro as well. But I do think that it comes, at least in this game, it does come down to attention. Or a couple of gaps in his. There are a couple of gaps in his armies and his defenses that he wasn't quite looking at, and DongRaeGu was able to take advantage of that full well.